Good morning and welcome back to the Brisbane Ranges and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got a little plan ahead of me, which is to fit a cheap Chinese diesel heater to my Franklin CX22 Club caravan. Now I have previously fitted a diesel heater to a rear fold camper in the past, and there is a video for that. Anyone interested in it can take a look. It's going to be similar job, probably a little bit more difficult on the caravan. The wiring on this is far more well hidden, but just to give you an idea, this was I believe this one was about $160, something like that. It's 5 kilowatt, and just to give you an idea what you get in the box, what's there, and I'll just talk you through some of the components. So let's have a look. Okay, so first things first, the diesel heater. So that's the unit. 2 outlets. These are swivelable outlets with a Y splitter to split them. 2 bits of corrugated pipe to route the hot air out. The mounting plate. The control unit. This is the muffler for the exhaust side. These don't come with the kit, but I learnt last time that the Jubilee clips that are given to you by the Chinese companies are pretty crap. They don't do the exhaust up anywhere near tight enough before they strip out. So I've put 4 good quality ones in. 15-litre fuel tank. Instructions, I'll be honest with you, these are in Chinglish. You have to kind of decipher what they're getting at. They're not the most detailed or understandable instructions, but gives you a rough idea what you've got to do, and it's not difficult. This is the air intake corrugated pipe with the filter. This is the exhaust pipe which goes with that muffler over there. The fuel pump, the mounting block for the fuel pump, rigid fuel line. When you're looking for these diesel heaters, you quite often see ones which come with a flexible soft like PVC pipe. You're better off going for ones which have got the rigid line. They actually do a better job. Balloon, some clips to do the conduit, to do the outlet, the standard Jubilee clips that come with the diesel heater. A whole load of them for the fuel line. This piece of rubber is to join the fuel lines, the rigid fuel line to this soft line, and to put in the fuel filter. For some reason they give you 2 fuel filters. Some P-clips for your exhaust, and a selection of bolts and nuts. These 4 here, are to mount the diesel heater to the backing plate. Then there's 1 spare bolt, which I'm not quite sure what that's for at this stage, and 3 spare nuts, which again I'm not really sure what they're for, and a selection of zip ties. So with the loom basically, all you have on that loom is a positive and negative, so it isn't really a difficult thing to set up. All the plugs are pre-wired. There is a fuse built into it just there, so it is fused. And the best way to go about these, to wire these, would be direct to a battery, not through a fuse box or any part of the fuse boxing on your van. And the reason for that is they can pull a high amount of amps when they first fire up. Okay, so one of the first things that's going to be the first issue, fuel tank. I've worked out where I'm going to mount it. I'm going to stick it up behind the spare wheel at the back of the van, and it doesn't come pre-drilled. And you've also got to work out how to get this fitting inside the tank to come out here. Now I'm guessing that that's about an 8mm. Okay. Try and get all the swarf out from inside. Just check this again, see if we've got a nice... Okay, that's going to go on there nicely. Okay, the way in which it comes fitting like that, a nut like that, and 2 O-rings. So the way you start with the O-ring. O-ring goes straight on the outer one first, put it all the way down. The other O-ring, once it's poked through, will go on the other side with a nut to hold it in place. So this needs to be fed through the tank from the inside, poke through, the nut put on the outside. Now, it's not going to be that easy to get down through here, so there is a way of doing it. And the easiest way, if you get an old coat hanger, and this is just one I use to hang up bits of metal that I paint, so multi-use, but yeah, you get a piece of a coat hanger, nice and straight. Obviously the squirrely bit at the end there is how they come, so it wedges the fitting so it can't go any further. And what you do, take your tank, is you get your fitting like this on the coat hanger, and you get your fuel tank, look down it, work out where it's got to go. Like so. I've got that all the way down now. Pull that out. I've got the fitting through. Okay, let's see if we can turn it around. Put the rubber washer over. Like so. And the fitting over the top. So the way we're going to do this, pair of pliers just lightly, just to stop it from twisting, and it's a 13mm spanner, and all you're doing is just nipping it up. You don't need to go too mad with it. That should be enough. It's just literally enough so that it doesn't leak. And that should be pretty good. That's quite tight. And there we go. That's fitted. So now all we've got to do is put this on the back of the caravan. I am just going to put some sealant to stop any water running into the van. Obviously we're drilling holes through the outer skin, so I don't want to be getting any water getting into my van. The way we'll do it, I'll put a blob of silicone on the back. So what I've done is just put blobs of silicone on the back like that, and then I'll offer it to the back and push it home. Okay, so the screws that I'm using to hold this in place are chipboard screws, because they bite in quite nicely. Last one. Okay, So once she's mounted to the back, that's what she should look like. So obviously screws are all in there. I've sealed the back of the van with some silicone just to prevent water running down and getting into the van. I don't want that. And the weight of the 15 litre fuel tank, it's actually being taken by the rear bar, so it's not being taken by the rear panel of the van. The rear panel of the van is just holding it secure in the place. So these screws, although they are just fitted into the skin of the van, they should be good enough because they're not really taking a lot of weight. Okay, so I started, I did a pilot hole, this corner one first, just to see from underneath. This is as far back as I could physically put the plate, if you like. My aim was originally to set the diesel heater this way, as far back against the wall as possible, so I could run the pipes nice and neat out the front to 2 outlets. That's not possible because actually underneath the wall finishes at about this point, so I wouldn't be able to drill. This was as far back as I could physically drill. I wouldn't have been able to drill these big holes going that way. That would have been the furthest one back, which would have brought it too far forward. I wouldn't have had room for the pipe work. So now it's got to go sideways on. So it's going to sit, the plate is going to sit something like that. And the diesel heater, that's how the diesel heater is going to sit sideways on. So this is the cold air inlet and this is going to be the hot air outlet. And what I'll have to do, so one will come along the side to the back and the other one will come straight out and around and across to the front. Not ideal, but it's the only way that this is going to go in this location. Okay, so next stage would be, I need to cut the vinyl away on the floor between those screw points so that I can stick down this metal plate with some fire retardant sealant, and obviously we don't want any vinyl flooring anywhere near it because it gets hot there. So I'm just going to run a Stanley knife and use a steel rule to run between these pre-drilled holes and just cut it out all the way around, and I'll come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so I've trimmed out around where the plate will sit. So the next thing would be to use this fire rated silicone sealant, which will seal between the floor of the caravan and that plate and the inside. We don't want any carbon monoxide coming back into the van. So just a generous smear around here, and then the plate can go back on top and we can screw the plate down. Alright, so there we go, that's the sealant on there. So all we've got to do is just drop this plate back on. And then we'll get some screws in it. We'll screw that down tight. And yeah, we should be good to go. So the plate is all sealed down now and screwed down. I've put some big washers on the corners just to hold it down as square as possible, and obviously you can see that the sealant is squidged out, but I'm not worried about that because that just shows that it's a good seal. So next thing is to get the diesel heater in place and bolted down onto that, which will be my next thing, and then I can run the diesel heater conduit pipes and drill the holes out for the vents. You've got to run the wiring, goes down through this gap here. So any wiring that's going out to underneath the van needs to be put through before you bolt down your heater. Now in my case I had a problem, and that is that my power lead, which is this one, will be going underneath the van to get to the batteries at the front, and this won't go through the hole. So I've cut it. This wire isn't long enough anyway, so it's going to need extending. So I've cut it now. And then what we can do is we can poke the rest of them down. So you've got the main supply. This one here is the one for the diesel pump, which will need to go down the hole. Let's put them down. Come on, it does go. Yeah. So So that's through. That one's through. And what else have we got? We've got an earth. And we've got the main power, which is this big one here, is the main power to the actual diesel heater. So the earth needs to go down. It's a fiddly job, but it's not difficult. It's just working everything out. What they say, measure twice, cut once. It's definitely relevant on this job. You don't want big holes in your floor that you're not going to use. Okay, so that's through. Take the diesel heater. Let's plug the diesel heater in. That's it. Now, we just need now to do a little bit of shuffling around. This out the way. This can come back a little, like so. Flip the diesel heater over. And line her up. Go. Now I can get underneath and I can put the screws on the other side. Set these out the way. That's that one. So, oh, almost. So obviously this side would be the inlet, so the air intake, and this will be the hot gases out. You can tell because the fuel line is closest to the inlet, the cold side of the heater, which is also why the wiring comes down the cold side of the heater. And basically all you do is tighten these up. Now the heater sits on a rubber gasket, so the rubber gasket will seal obviously from that plate to the heater. So the reason that we're sealing the plates to the floor is because that hasn't got a rubber gasket, so that's just sealant, and you can see that the sealant is all squidging out nicely, so you know you've got a good seal there. Okay. There you go, nipped down nice and snug. So that's for the obviously we've got all the wiring. Now the earth will just go to the chassis, I would guess, and we'll see whether that actually reads on my battery management system. It may not. This may need to be moved to the shunt, but I've got a feeling the shunt's connected to the chassis as a load, so I've got a feeling if I put something to the chassis it should work. So we'll find out. It'll be easy enough to tell. But yeah, that can just be attached somewhere to the chassis, probably there. So I'll put a tech screw in there and screw that in place. Then we'll get the intake and the exhaust connected, and then it's just really a case of running this in the fuel line. That should go. There you go. That's nice. Okay, so making up the fuel line. So you get the rigid pipe. If you're lucky, you've got one with rigid pipe, and you also get this soft rubber. So what we need to do, and I usually use a little squirt of WD-40 just in the end. Don't need much, just a squirt. And then push your pipe in, and you need to know roughly how far you're going in. So it's gone in about 1 centimetre. So we'll cut 1 centimetre the other side because it wants to be even. Get some side cutters and just cut off. And there's your first bit. And we take one of these, and that needs to go up nice and tight up the end. And it's important when you do these that you push, when you join these, you push them all the way so they meet in the middle, so they meet each other. So when your next bit goes in, it has to go right the way up until it hits this plastic pipe. So we'll put a secondary one on, and then I'm going to put this onto the fuel tank. Which is just here. There we go. She's pushed all the way home. Let's just do that up. Go, that's nice and tight. And then all you're doing is you're running this hose over to the diesel heater, but this needs to go via electric fuel pump. And it's a good idea to put a fuel filter in line as well, which I'm going to do right now. So we're nearly there. Got the diesel heaters bolted down, or nipped down tight. Put an exhaust on it. Now the exhaust, you need to cut a couple of slots, or 4 slots I cut, actually in the end of these tubes, so that the Jubilee clips will actually clamp them down. And I did that with a disc cutter, or an angle grinder with a disc wheel on it. You want to go down about 1 centimetre down into the tube, just so that when the Jubilee clip is on, it clamps down. P-clip in the middle, and the silencer pointing towards the, angled towards the ground. The diesel line is on the tank and all clamped up. We've got an inline filter on it, and then it comes along with P-clips all the way along up to the pump. The pump is at an angle, roughly 45 degrees, with the outlet at the top. So obviously in at the bottom, out at the top, with the plug at the top. Coming round, P-clips, I've connected the wiring to the diesel pump up to the same P-clips. And what I've done is the cable was a bit long, so I've just doubled it up in this area here, and obviously into the diesel heater. Still got to do the live cable is just loose at the moment, I haven't done that. But yeah, quite happy with it. It's nice and neat and tidy underneath. It's all sealed, so yeah, should be good. Tomorrow I will connect up the live line, and I'll also fill the diesel tank and we'll see it running. Okay, let's have a look inside. Okay, inside, bit of a mess at the moment. I've put obviously the two outlets in under the table. The diesel heater, I'm just trying to get in through all the crap on the floor. So the diesel heater, had a bit of a challenge with this. Now this one came with a splitter and two outlet ports. However, I couldn't get the heater in the position I wanted to get it, which was the other way. Just wasn't possible to fit it that way. So I fitted it this way. I've managed to get you can see there. So we got the splitter the right way round, because it's important that you get that splitter the right way. So the outlet is the single side split two ways. That way you get even flow through both vents. Doesn't matter how long they are, you'll still get even flow. One to that one, and the other one comes across into that one. I'm quite happy with it. It's not as neat as I was hoping I could get it, but just you're limited to room, and I didn't really want it under the bed. If we'd have put it under the bed with our bedroom, it would have been too hot. So this area, it will heat the whole van nicely. So now all I've got to do is I've connected up the control panel. I have still got to tidy up the wiring, which is just this wiring here. And all you do is you do need to drill quite a big hole, just purely so you can get this plug through. Is reasonable size, but that doesn't matter, because the control unit, you'll put it on to cover that hole. Let's see if I can show you. There you go, and you just see the holes at the bottom there just peeking out, so the cabling can go through. But yeah, she's nice and neat. This has also got a remote, so we can control this from the bedroom. So it doesn't matter that it's the other end of the van, we can control it from the bedroom. So yeah, that's good. But yeah, it's all nice and neat. Happy with that. So all I've got left to do now is a tidy up, and then tomorrow I'll run the live, and we'll fill the diesel tank up and I'll show you it running. Anyway, well, welcome back. Day two. Just got to fill the diesel tank up now with some diesel, and then connect the live up to the battery, and then we should be good to check out to see how this diesel heater works. Okay, she's full. Okay, Right, we're getting there. I've run the live wire all the way underneath, and I'll show you that in a minute. I've just got some cable ties to trim off. I've got, so the system should be now powered up. The next thing we need to do is to purge the diesel line. So of course, where we've connected the diesel tank, there's a lot of air in the lines, and that will prevent us from being able to get the diesel pump started, or the, should I say, the diesel heater started. So you press the OK and down button, so it comes H off, and then you just press the up button, and you want to be reading H on, and now you can hear the diesel pump is priming. We'll just let that get on with it. And just coming around, you should see, yeah, so you can see the filter is starting to fill. And you can hear the diesel pump working away. First time startup, they do tend to be a bit smoky. Now I had to run my heater primer twice to get it to run up. It didn't run up the first time, but this will clear. This is just while it's on glow plug, you'll get a bit of smoke, and it tends to be only the first time. It's because when I primed it, it's probably pumped quite a lot of fuel into the actual heater itself. I just want to see what it's drawing on my BM Pro, if it's showing it. And at the moment it's showing 0.8 of an amp, which I'm guessing it's not showing its drawing at all. Yeah, I'm guessing I need to connect that to the shunt, the negative, which I will do down the track. But right now I want to get this thing and see how it works. And she's ramping up now. Shut this door. So I was going to try and program this remote so that we can use it from the bedroom without having to get up. But actually, as you can see, it's already programmed. Bargain. The last one I bought didn't actually have a battery in it. This one does. But if you do need a battery, I think it's an A27 that they use, which is an unusual looking battery, like a camera battery. But yeah, so that's working fine. So here we are, job's all finished. It's about a day's work to fit one of these to a caravan. I've just powered the diesel pump, or the diesel heater, off, so she's winding down now. Just to give you a quick look round as to the final job. Let's have a look. Okay, diesel heater, nice and neat. Okay, diesel tank, nice and neat behind the spare wheel there, just tucked in behind, looks good. Underneath, so underneath you've got obviously the fuel line with the fuel filter, it's all primed up now. Exhaust. Intake is this side. Wiring goes down the van, attached to water pipes. And comes up there and then back round into the looms, and she's all nice and neat. Covers all back on. Yeah, very happy with it. Okay, so summary. These cheap Chinese diesel heaters, you know, good value for money. This is the second one I've had. They work fine. The only thing I would say with them, when you finish with them, always put them on a high setting and burn off the soot. So before you switch them off. So whack them up to 35, get out of the van, leave them running for 5 or 10 minutes and then switch them off. If you do that, you'll burn off the soot, you won't have too many problems. But that goes without saying across the board for all diesel heaters. They're a cheap enough thing to do, about 160, I think I've seen them for 140 bucks. 5 kilowatts, people say, oh, it's too much for a van. It's not. A 5 kilowatt heater, just turn it down. It's got a thermostat on it, it's got a temperature setting on it, just turn it down. 2 kilowatt heater, you know, you can't always get them. A 5 kilowatt will do the job. They're perfectly reliable, they work well, they're easy to install. Take your time, work out where you're going to put it, spend the time working everything out before you start cutting holes. Other than that, really, that's it. Hopefully it's helped someone. If you like this, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for your time. Cheers. Next time.